Hey everyone, welcome to Sideline Sports Network, where we are live here at the Media Center at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We got Alex Fleming. How are we doing, Alex?
Doing good. Met some interesting gentlemen who cover various areas of the NFL. This should be a good conversation.
We got Robert. How are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing great. This is a lot of fun.
Hey, Rob, tell the people who you are and your affiliation, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Robert Cobb. I'm the founder, publisher, and CEO of the Inscriber Digital Magazine. We're a digital and quarterly print online publication that specializes in sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. We're covering the Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement 2020, 2021, the Hall of Fame fashion show, and we also covered the Steelers-Cowboys game that started off the enshrinement weekend.
And last but not least, how are you doing, sir? You're the last one to be introduced. Please tell our audience about yourself.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Tony Lane of the Dude Network and Tuscarawas Broadcasting Company, Cleveland Browns affiliate for Tuscarawas Broadcasting Company, but the Dude Network is an overall entertainment for men and women, I guess now, platform as well. So here we're talking the Football Hall of Fame this weekend. That's very Dude Network.
And so these gentlemen do a lot of great work in sports in the NFL. So you're going to want to check them out. We'll make sure we have all the links later on for where you can find all their information. But first, we're going to start talking some football as we were earlier. So I was talking about should the Panthers trade Christian McCaffrey. I'm on the belief that they should. Robert wasn't quite on the same train that I was on.
No,
I think the Panthers would be better off.
Man.
Hey, Robert, you go ahead. Start it off. Tell us why not.
Why not? Because I feel Christian McCaffrey, he is a special generational type of player who is a threat running the ball as well as catching the ball. And I really feel he will make Sam Darnold a very, very good quarterback because he got a raw deal in New York to begin with. He had nothing in New York. In Carolina, Christian McCaffrey is the main focal piece. And thus, I feel him being the main focal piece, Darnold can do a lot of simple dump-offs. And McCaffrey just creates matchup problems for any opposing team and stuff. And Darnold never had that in New York at all. So just imagine what he can do with McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah, I wait all my life to do it again. Oh.
Alex?
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with one word that you said, but this is the reason why you get rid of McCaffrey now. He's already suffered 2 injuries. They drafted Chuba Hubbard, who out of Oklahoma State, I believe, can replace Christian McCaffrey. Look, Carolina Panthers are a quarterback away from contending from that division. Gee, if there was only a quarterback who was upset and wants the hell out of his situation, that would be worth getting rid of Christian McCaffrey. Oh, wait, Deshaun Watson. They already have a couple of running backs that's already on the list. Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, a whole bunch of crumbs, bums, and broken running backs. You can replace all of that with Christian McCaffrey, get Deshaun Watson out of there, get away with 1 draft pick because you traded away Christian McCaffrey. They're not going to get a king's ransom. Christian McCaffrey is on the downhill of his career because once you hit 350 carries plus, you're more injury prone. He can be a big face in Houston, Texas. He'll get along with the owners because obviously he's got the right complexion to be marketable. You get Deshaun Watson. He used to play at Clemson. It makes sense for both parties.
I can agree with that, and I'm not going to disagree with anything you just said. Those are all very good points, especially about the fact that he's probably got another 3 years left, and that wear and tear will start to catch up to him. My thing is, to sidebar for a second, who really want to try to trade for someone who's not damaged goods, but highly questionable right now in Deshaun Watson? You got to look through the legal aspect too, of what's going on with the ongoing sexual assault cases, allegations in Houston. You got to look at that too.
Well, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking none of those allegations or assaults, which is all civil, by the way. None of them are criminal, which is all civil. But all of those are going to be handled after this season. Now, don't get me wrong. It could be a black guy, and we're talking about money, but we're only talking about money. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's going to prison. We're talking about money. I would take a risk if I wanted my franchise to go further than just the first round of the wild card playoffs.
All right. Now that we let you all talk all the talk here, let me just go ahead and put this bet in the bed here for you. Carolina Panthers not trading Christian McCaffrey. $15 million is a high-end price for a broke-down running back coming off a major injury. You got Sam Darnold, who you put all the eggs in the basket for this year. You're not going to strap him in the backfield with a rookie running back. I don't know how Deshaun Watson came in this conversation, but he isn't going anywhere this year. And Houston now has the upper hand in keeping that top-tier talent in Houston. So with that being said, you're not going to get the haul for Christian McCaffrey. A team's going to look at that deal as they're doing them a favor by getting that bad contract off the books. Because let's face it, folks, $15 million for a running back is a very, very bad contract in today's NFL. When you consider Nick Chubb, who has arguably been 3 times more productive in the last 2 years, has only just signed a 3-year, $36 million deal with only 22 of it guaranteed. Christian McCaffrey is on the high end of the totem pole on the salary cap. He's unmovable, and they're going to give Darnold all the support they can in the backfield this year. Matt Rule cannot have 2 opening bad seasons to start out his NFL career, because as you all remember, that boy also got paid all of the money too. So he's not going to weaken his team, and Deshaun Watson is not coming to Carolina, because who in their right mind is going to give up draft picks when he may not even be able to play this year, next year, or maybe the next 5 to 10, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, I wanted to laugh, but you got to know your football knowledge in order to laugh. You mentioned a bad contract and a running back. That's $15 million. Have you seen Deshaun Watson's contract? Okay, so I'm not trying to hear that whole $15 million a year.
If he comes back, though,
Number two, first and foremost, none of those allegations, because that's all they are, allegations, are going to be addressed this year. He can play this year. He's eligible to play this year. He is not on the commissioner's exempt list this year.
Which means he gets no money this year. He gets no money. There is no contract.
What do you mean? If they sit him, they still have to pay him.
If he's not able to play, he ain't getting paid. He's on the exempt list.
He's not on the commissioner's exempt list. Let me say this again. He is not, in OT, not on the commissioner's exempt list.
The deadline passed for that. The deadline passed, yes.
So they're going to have to pay him that contract. That's why I laughed and boo-booed at the whole Christian McCaffrey a bad contract. Are you serious? I would take 2 of Christian McCaffrey's contracts over 1 year of Deshaun Watson's contract.
Performance is performance, man. Look at the numbers. Deshaun Watson's a quarterback. Quarterbacks last 15 years. Running backs last no more than 8 to 10, and he's already, 5 years into it?
4, but who's counting?
I mean, it was a roundabout. He's in his second contract. So
I don't think we have to debate the fact.
World, I mean, that's we're on the back half.
I don't think we have to debate the fact that Deshaun Watson is a better talent than Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we don't.
The thing is,
any disagreements?
I'm just saying, Christian McCaffrey's not leaving Carolina.
All right, real quick.
If I could get Deshaun Watson, I would ship Christian McCaffrey tonight. I would send him on a Flintstone jet plane.
And
right
2
now.
firsts. And 2 firsts. Let Houston rebuild. Let them rebuild with Christian McCaffrey. 2 firsts. They eat the contract. They're not eating any money anyway. Who are they paying on that team? That's not a bad.
I give up
that's
1
not a bad
first.
deal
I'm not giving up 2
Watson,
firsts.
I give a
Did someone take his
They're going to ask a lot. They're going to ask a lot. So
He said 2 firsts. 2 firsts and Christian McCaffrey?
I heard him.
No, I'll give a Christian McCaffrey 1 first and a second.
That's what I said, a first and conditional second.
That's what I would give up. I'm not giving up 2 firsts
Houston
and
has to
McCaffrey.
budge.
No. Someone house something here, man. But come on. All right, let me just interject real quick. Hypothetically, if you're the GM, you have the opportunity to trade Christian McCaffrey for Deshaun Watson. Straight up, would you do it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Straight up.
The reason you give up that much if you're the Panthers is because you need to be able to compete with Tom Brady. The only thing that gives you a chance to compete with Tom Brady is Deshaun Watson. That's the only thing. Sam Darnold's not competing with Tom Brady until Tom Brady's retired. Then he can compete in the division. But until Tom Brady's gone, Sam Darnold's not doing anything. If Deshaun Watson's there, that will be 2 battles a year that are grinded out, beat you down battles. So that's why you go and get Deshaun Watson at all costs, even if it costs you McCaffrey. Because remember, the Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Damian Williams as their running back. You don't need a running back to win a Super Bowl.
John, you're not looking at the big picture. You and I both know, and I cover the Bucs. Trust me, I know. Brady's time is coming. All right, that sands of that hourglass are matriculating down the wrong direction. This division is going to be wide open
Are you
in
sure
a
that
year
Sanders
or
that much?
two.
Because this is Tom Brady, man.
Well, I mean, the Father Time is undefeated.
Yes.
If you grab Deshaun Watson this year or even next year, you would have the best quarterback in that division. Okay, Hill isn't a quarterback. Winston is a joke. Darnold's not going to get the job done. Matt Ryan's going to be gone. And Tampa Bay has Kyle Trask. Okay, you could run that division if you had a top-tier quarterback like Deshaun Watson. That's why Carolina needs to make that trigger move now.
I say they could go after Deshaun. They should go after Deshaun, but I think they're nuts to want Christian McCaffrey back in any deal. But the Texans are dumb enough to be that team to make that move because Jack Easterby, even though he thinks he walks on water and he's the second coming of Jesus, our Lord and mighty Christ, he's the only one that's not smart out in this conversation that he would pull that trigger because he's made nothing but questionable decisions since he's taken over that team down there.
All right,
So
here's a thought real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. While we're talking quarterbacks, what's everybody's opinion of the Josh Allen contract deal?
Buffalo had to do what Buffalo had to do to keep him in Buffalo. It's not a market. I mean, you have to pay the guy to stay there. I mean, I get it. You've been waiting on this guy since Jim Kelly left. I mean, you went for it. The salary cap is blowing up. It's going to take a massive increase here in the next year or two when this new media contract comes out. So it's not even going to affect the salary cap that much in the grand scheme of things. In the long run, 5 years from now, it's going to be a good contract.
I don't disagree with one thing you just said, but I would have waited. You got to think about Baker's bum butt, who's going to get a new contract, and you got to think about Lamar's contract. If you would have waited, you could have got somewhere in between. You might have overpaid for Josh Allen. I mean, he's worth $43 million a year, but I wouldn't have told him that. You probably could have got him for $36 million a year and get some help on that secondary. I mean, it's a good contract, but I would have waited.
I think they're going to wait to extend Baker's contract. And honestly, he's not – I'll agree with what we talked about off air before we did this. They need to let Baker play this last year out and then assess where he is and whether or not he deserves a big contract. I agree with you. I say half right now because we already paid Chubb. And you still got to worry about Baker and then worry about what or not we're going to do with OBJ and Landry. They probably may be gone. But Baker – I like Baker a lot. He's not exactly quite a game manager, but he can win.
He's not worth that money.
He's not worth that much.
He's not worth that money.
Not that much.
Not yet, but you better lock him up because he's one more big season away. If he
That's why they picked up his fifth-year option.
He's going to put up. He's putting up Josh Allen numbers. Here's the other thing on Josh Allen.
Actually, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
I love Baker, but he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not putting up Josh Allen numbers.
That's sacrilegious to even compare Baker Mayfield to Josh Allen. He's
saying,
more like a Tony Romo on a good day.
If he picks up where he left off, and no one can come after Baker's second half numbers last year. 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions down the stretch, plus a playoff win on the road in Pittsburgh.
Second half, yes. I'll admit second half. What about
that's what we?
I'm glad he mentioned that second half because that first half he looked like garbage.
Under a new coach, man, it's like his 4th offensive coordinator in 3 years. Get the guy some slack on that.
He did have.
He finally got settled into a system.
Really good.
They were winning their games by running the football. They're going to continue to win games by running the football. If you have to rely on Baker Mayfield to get you in a shootout, you're losing that shootout because you got an AK-47 versus his 6-shooter, and I don't trust his accuracy. Baker Mayfield is a game manager. And how much are you willing to pay a game manager?
No, Tua Tagovailoa is a game manager. Baker's slightly above.
See, that's not fair to say because you've only seen 8 games out of him, so you can't make that assumption yet. You can't make that determination. 8 games does not make a quarterback. Baker, we've seen enough out of him to where we kind of know what we're already going to get.
Well,
That's why the That's why the Browns were not going to pick up his 5th-year option until the team got hot in the second half of the year. Remember, the first half of last year, they were all out on that 5th-year option. They were going to drop that option like it was hot. But the team got hot in the second half. They won a playoff game, and they were prisoners of the moment, and that's why they picked up the 5th-year option. That's why they did it. I'm not saying it was a bad idea because there's nothing else out there, but I still don't believe he's anything more than a poor man's Ryan Tannehill.
That's disrespect.
That's
I don't care.
ouch.
Browns fan or no Browns fan. Guy breaks the all-time rookie passing record with like -4 games because he didn't start till week 4, and we're sitting there burying the guy after winning on the road in Pittsburgh for the first time since 1994 when Bill Belichick was the coach, and we're burying the guy after going 17-2 without his top wide receiver. That's cold,
don't forget they also lost to Chad Henne when they had a chance to beat the Chiefs in the second half of that game.
All right.
So we're talking about the defense here. I mean, I'm pretty sure Henne has nothing to do with Baker, man. I mean, that was defense, and we improved on that. Now, okay, so back to Josh Allen on the original point here. We were talking about let's go back here to the Josh Allen discussion. So we're saying too much money right now. Okay, so fast forward a year from now. Amazon comes in, they give billions of dollars for the media rights, salary cap goes through the roof. Then what's Josh Allen's contract looking like if you extend him at that?
It looks like a bargain.
You're locking him in now while you know what you got him locked in under the current salary cap. It's only going to go up.
I still got you because if you look at Forbes' list of the most rich and poorest teams, guess who comes in at number 32? That's right, the Buffalo Bills. You could have got him on a 5-year contract and spent less than $200 million to lock him up. Less years, less risk. You just offered him a 6-year, $258 million contract with a $150 guaranteed. One way or another, you could have extended him or gave him half that size contract. You paid too much. You went on a date with an 8 and not a 10. Now, I love Josh Allen. I love his ability. I love the fact that he revitalized Buffalo. What I'm saying is that you could have waited until they got rid of Baker, and then you could have found out how much they were going to pay Lamar. Because right now, you're paying this man $43 million a year that's going to take place next year, and you could have got him for 35 to less than 40 a year.
I would personally pay Baker at least $29 million, which I feel is right in that range for what he's done overall during his time so far. And yes, he did get hot the second half of the year. You also got to look at the number of coaches and the inconsistency he had in his development. Baker's going into the first time in his career, he's going to be in the same offensive system for more than 1 year. Because don't forget, he had Hugh Jackson, moron extraordinaire. Then you had Williams. Then you had Kitchens. Now you got Stefanski. He's gone through 4 head coaches in the time he's been in the league. He's never had no stability. Now he's got stability for the first time. I would definitely wait to see how he plays this full year right here before going forward with the contract. And if he does get to the point of the contract, I'm hearing that Baker's willing to give a hometown discount. I doubt it. But you got to look at the numbers. They got to be real about this. I like Baker Mayfield. But I will be real with the fact that he's kind of been uneven at times. He looked really good the second half of last year.
And can we be honest? Can we be honest with each other? You take away last year, this man had more commercials than he had victories.
I agree. Yes, totally agree. I'm not.
He also had more coaches than he had.
He's had the same amount of coaches as Jameis Winston
he had
has.
Freddie
We don't see
Kitchens,
Jameis Winston.
boys. Freddie Kitchens.
Hey,
Freddie
that
Kitchens
was your
will ruin
organization
anybody.
that made that dumb decision to hire Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah,
Here's
I
my
don't know what they
point.
were thinking.
I got John Dorsey fired.
That was
if we're gonna put a coach on if we're gonna put a quarterback on a pedestal for less than 16 games worth of production, then we should put Carson Wentz up there. Oh, but wait, Carson Wentz is a bum.
Let's not talk about Carson.
Remember, Carson Wentz only played 13 games, and then he's a bum.
Really?
So Baker Mayfield only had a good second half of a season because he has a great run game, a great head coach. That's all he had, and he struggled against Chad Henne. He couldn't outduel Chad Henne in a playoff game when Patrick Mahomes is hurt. You can't win that game. Chad Henne's making plays while you're not.
Let me switch this up. How about this? Why in the hell would I give a max contract to a guy that can't beat a so-and-so, quote, running back 2 times a year? Cleveland has a Baltimore problem. The last 2 years, they've beaten the Baltimore Ravens 1 time. And these are people that you're going to be facing your division for, I don't know, the long foreseeable future. Now, why the hell would I pay a bum $40 million if A, you can barely beat Pittsburgh, B, you can't beat Baltimore, and C, the other team in Ohio is breathing down your neck? You got to be out your mind to ask for a 6-year, $250 million contract from a guy who's got a 500 record.
I hope we're saving this because I'm going
This
to
is
bury
saved,
people
baby.
at the
This
end of
is
the year.
saved.
If I'm right, his career record is 28, 26, and 1. You can look that up. But that's just off the top of my head.
That's not great.
No, it's not great. Now I'll admit real quick to what you just said earlier. We do have a Baltimore problem. We had those guys on the Monday Night Football game, which was a classic, by the way. And
Lamar Jackson went to the bathroom and still beat
yes,
you.
he came out like Superman. Yes, I know. And the Browns had their chances in that game. They had their chances in the first game of the year. They had their chances the second game of the year before. Browns need to figure out a way to beat Baltimore because that's who's going to run the division. Real talk for the next 3-4 years, as long as Lamar is there. And that's why the Browns drafted Greg Newsome. That's why they got Wusu. That's why they got Jadeveon Clowney. They built that defense around just to contain and keep Lamar in the pocket.
Don't forget that with Baker Mayfield, he's actually a worse quarterback when OBJ is on the field than he is with OBJ off the field.
That's a can of
And
worms.
OBJ
Right
is
there.
coming
Maybe that's an
back.
OBJ problem.
But that still has to do with Baker, and that's going to affect his stats, and that affects your contract.
I actually agree with the Dude Network. That's an OBJ problem. That's not a Baker problem. This is
I'm
Baker's
just saying he's got to
team.
deal with it. You got to find a way to make your team
problem?
better with OBJ, not worse.
Because OBJ throws a fit on the sideline like a little girl if you don't get 10 throws at him a game. And that puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback, knowing that you got to give so many throws to the guy, even if he's not open, knowing that he's getting double teamed with help over the top.
Well, not only that, OBJ noticed if that team was successful without him. So you can't be a prima donna diva asking all this stuff and putting diamonds in the back of your mouth when nobody can see it costing millions of dollars when the team functions better when you're not there. I think if anything, OBJ is going to have to humble himself and play his role.
He has to. He's got no choice. He's got no leverage.
He's got nothing this year, but he's coming on. He likes to win, supposedly, and he had to been dying on the inside watching them win in the playoffs without him.
Yeah. They love all the sports talk about the Browns being better without him than with him. So hopefully this motivates him. Makes him take a step back. Be hungry. Got to be hungry this year, man.
Don't sleep on Donovan Peoples-Jones this year either.
Oh, I love DPJ.
I disagree. I actually got my eye on Schwartz from Auburn. Speed kills.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's got to have hands to catch the ball. You can get open, but until you can show me you can catch in traffic from a track star to a NFL football field, that's when I'll believe it when I see it. I hope. Trust me, I'm the biggest fan. I hope. But speed doesn't do it all, man. You got to catch it.
That's true. See,
Look
here's
at
the
the
thing,
Joku.
though. Real quick, while we're talking about Schwartz, let's go back to DPJ for a second. It would not shock me if OBJ isn't back to where he's at health-wise and DPJ plays. We'll be seeing a lot more DPJ on the field this year. Plus the fact the Browns don't have that tall, physical, athletic receiver, and they don't have speed. Now they got both with DPJ and Schwartz. And honestly, I would hate to see Landry go. I love Landry. Juice is awesome. He's to us what, in my opinion, what Hines Ward was to the Steelers for so many years. He's that guy that brings that edge. The Browns never had that edge, never had the attitude, never had anything in the culture close to someone of Landry's personality. We need that. We need a culture change more than anything. That's what helps build that foundation of winning. That's why the Steelers have been the most successful, stable franchise football over the last 50 years. And I'm a Browns fan saying this. I have no problem admitting that. But those are facts.
Can I ask you guys a question? And I want you to be honest. I mean, honest. Okay? Honest. Let's say that you take a chick out to eat, she's not a 10, she's like a 6 or a 7. How much are you willing to spend? Baker, he's a 6 or 7. You don't drop $258 million on Baker.
No,
how much is he actually worth?
If we're going to answer this in real life, Browns have been on a cold streak, and if I'm on a cold streak like the Browns have been on a cold streak, I don't care if it's a 4. I'm paying all the money.
No comment. I feel that.
Before we get going, because soon we got to head down to the enshrinement ceremony, all of us. one last question to ask you guys. What is Lamar Jackson worth? Because the Ravens have to figure that out, and they have to figure that out quickly. They have to figure out if he's their guy. There's a lot of questions around him. Of course, they're going to keep him. We all think that they are, but there's been a lot of speculation recently about whether they should or shouldn't keep him because they're going to pay him a lot of money, and then there's going to be a lot of other spots that they can't afford. So what is Lamar Jackson's value? What should he get per year? Because we don't really know what Lamar Jackson is as a complete football player yet. I'll start with you, Tony.
I'm not starting a single drop of ink on a paycheck until that boy can show me at least a 30 to 40 completion percentage on passes longer than 25 yards down the field. Until that guy can consistently make it rain and be a actual deep threat quarterback instead of a dink dunk scramble and throw check down all the time, I ain't putting a drop of ink on the checkbook. That's it.
Who would like to chime in, please?
You go first, Alex.
I know y'all are both jumping at the bit.
5 years, $220 million. You give him a 5-year contract so you could give him another contract before he reaches his peak. Guys, Lamar Jackson is 23, 24 years old. He's doing Louisville numbers, and he won the Heisman at Louisville. His 2019 season, which we was already MVP, he threw for 3,200 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That lets me know he's efficient. Oh, by the way, he also broke Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick's record as a quarterback rushing with 1,200 yards with another additional 8 touchdowns. He has more touchdown passes than Josh Allen. So the next time I hear somebody say he's a running back, I'm going to have to call him out and made you look like Roy Jones. Number 3, he has a deep ball. He just needed receivers that are bigger than midgets that the Buffalo Bills have between Beasley and Brown. But Rashawn Bateman and Wallace and Devin Duvernay, I believe we're going to get a culture shock on how good Baltimore's going to be this year. You give him 5 years, $220 million. That's $44 million a year. That's $1 more million a year more than he's making than Josh Allen, and it's still better than that bum that resides here in Cleveland. I'm sorry, this is Canton. Yeah. He doesn't deserve that contract in Cleveland, but he's going to get that money because he's in Progressive commercials. Then there's people like Baltimore that actually win the division and actually go to the playoffs each year that he's there. There's a difference between a winner and a talker. Lamar is a winner.
Rob?
5 years, $220 million.
Defenses are getting quicker. Defenses are getting quicker. He's going to have to figure out that throwing. I mean, people can say what they want.
All right. I'm gonna chime in on this right now with my answer. Alex, my brother, you made some great stats, great numbers. Dude, my brother, you got some good facts too. But I'm actually going to agree with Alex here. I would say 5 years, $340 million. Because I feel he's better than Allen, in my opinion. He's more of a threat, running and throwing. All the stats that Alex just said, you helped make my point for me. And I don't like Lamar Jackson because of what he's done to the Browns, but at the same time, he's won MVP. He's maybe the only quarterback that can rival Patrick Mahomes, both talent-wise, threat-wise. Anytime he's on the field, defenses freeze up with Lamar because you don't know what to do with them. And I did say originally on before we started the show, he does need to demonstrate he can beat you with the deep ball. He is getting better with the deep ball. Even I will acknowledge that. And I honestly feel that he is the second best quarterback in the league after Lamar Jackson. After Patrick Mahomes. Thus, he deserves to be paid in that range, in my opinion.
Did you say second?
Second.
AFC. He didn't mention Aaron Rodgers. He said AFC.
Because you forgot about Russell Wilson, right?
I'd walk out on that one.
You forgot about Russell Wilson, correct?
I didn't forget about
and Aaron
Russell
Rodgers
Wilson.
and Tom Brady?
I did forget about Russell Wilson. Tom
And
Brady's
Deshaun
on his
Watson?
way out.
Nope.
Deshaun Watson might be suspended, may not be playing.
What better quarterback
was
than
right.
Deshaun Watson any day of the week?
Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson, that's going to be a war.
As a matter of fact, the 2 times that Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson played, I believe Lamar Jackson won both. So, yes, better than Deshaun Watson.
Look at the teams. Look at the rosters.
For what it's worth, I hope Baltimore pays him all the money and then some, because I want them to suck for 10 to 12 years. So I hope they give him a lifetime deal for $60 million a year. That's what I want.
Let me touch on this first, because I know you guys want to chime in. First of all, I think Lamar should get paid. I would say start him at 34. You could put incentives in there. You could put player options. You could do all kinds of things with the contract, as we've seen this year and last year. They played with the contracts. Start him at 34 because we don't know what he's necessarily worth yet. You don't want to pay him too much less than Josh Allen, but you don't want to pay him. You don't want to overpay him because you don't quite know what he is. It's not necessarily the deep ball that you guys had mentioned, but it's just consistently hitting the throws that he needs to hit. He gets lazy at times. His mechanics are off at times where he misses throws that he should hit. Easy throws, he sails them high. Whenever he's pressured, whenever he plays from behind, he struggles. Whenever the team is in a 14-0 hole, he really feels that pressure. We've seen that time and time again, especially in the playoffs where they fall in a hole 14-0 and the pressure really gets to him. And he starts to play hero ball instead of just playing the game that he is used to playing. So he just needs to be more consistent and play the game that he knows how to play, and he gets away from that whenever he starts losing, and that's one of his problems. He's still only 23, I think you said, so there's a lot of growing up to do. The MVP thing, I can't necessarily throw that in there because Cam Newton had an MVP season, never was the same again. Matt Ryan had an MVP season, never was the same again. So let's just curb that because players aren't always great after they win one MVP. That's historically not always the case. So he's worth the money.
Then why does Aaron Rodgers have 3?
Aaron Rodgers has 3, not 1. Big difference. Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl.
He's saying
Lamar
that
Jackson.
he's saying there's guys that won an MVP and then went off to Never Land, but
Yep.
then there's that elite that gets more than one. I think that's what John's trying to say there. Is that
Yes.
correct, John?
Well, what I'm
Yes.
trying to
I'm
say
not
is that
saying he
Lamar
can't.
Jackson's been in the league for 3 years and he's already got an MVP. He won it his
I'm not saying
second
he can't. I'm
year.
just saying we've seen guys get one and then they aren't quite the same the rest of their careers.
Really?
I will say
Cam Newton.
they improved the line and their wide receivers, so he's got no excuses this year. He's got none.
Good point. Yeah, he's got no more excuses though.
You're making my point for me.
I'm just saying, if his numbers were down last year because his team wasn't as good, he can't use that excuse this year.
No, he's going to have a breakthrough year. He might get another MVP season. And that's just another reason why I wouldn't pay that bum Baker. Baker's got Hunt, Chubb, Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Cooper, and Njoku, and OBJ when he decides to play and healthy. Do I
Don't
need
get
to
off
mention the
Cooper.
Cleveland Brown defense? And yet you can't get past the Kansas City Chiefs team with
Dude,
no
our
Patrick
defense was
Mahomes.
terrible last year.
Your defense was terrible last year, and you spent a lot of money on the defense this year. And you know what? When you guys lose in the playoffs, who are you going to look to then? Stefanski, the defense, or the common denominator? Baker Mayfield.
But then we're using the same thing as what you're saying with Lamar. You know, like we got to see how he plays out the year. I mean, so really it's all speculation at this point. But like,
Not at all.
I don't know.
I
man.
can
Like,
tell you the difference.
look at Baker's. He doesn't have a heavy he has all these weapons, but Baker uses each and every single one of them. Like he spreads the ball around. He's good.
If he did, he wouldn't have had a losing season last year. Look, let's be completely honest. 2018, this draft, Baker was number 1. Lamar was barely selected. He was number 32. Who's been in the playoffs each and every year? Lamar Jackson. Who has more touchdown passes? Lamar Jackson. Who has more rushing yards? Lamar Jackson.
That's not a fair take, man. That's not a fair take.
Well,
He
I'm
got
just saying,
drafted to a playoff team. Baker got drafted to the
who has more
#1.
W's? Lamar Jackson.
Baker inherited a 1-31
I'll let
program.
these gentlemen finish up, and then we'll finish up here on Sideline Sports.
Wasn't he supposed to be the savior of Cleveland? Is that the reason why we have 15 progressive commercials?
Last time I checked, we were dancing on Pittsburgh's 50-yard line with the playoff victory and in Week 17.
The last time I checked, Pittsburgh lost 4 of their last 5 games.
Hey,
Bud Dupree went down, and that defense went down with it. And Ben Roethlisberger was looking civilian-like. I mean, I'm glad that was both for Cleveland, but you saw what happened after you got rid of Pittsburgh. Not a damn thing.
but I mean, we didn't just squeak by them. I mean, it was pure domination.
I'm glad you're happy on beating Pittsburgh Steelers after their 11-0 run. Congratulations. While Baltimore avenged Tennessee and stomped on their logo because that's an actual team that's considered an actual contender. I believe somebody wrote some article called Paper Champions, and it was about the Cleveland Browns. You guys look great on paper, but everybody looks great on paper.
All right, folks. Well, that is all the Cleveland Browns and quarterback and Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson talk that we're going to have today because we all have to get to the enshrinement ceremony. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this has been Tony, Rob, Alex, and myself. Make sure you check out everything. We're going to have everything in the links. See you later, guys.
Later.